Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to AmazonsFitMag.com. And of course, the podcast is brought to you by GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because a photo's worth 1,000 words, video's worth 1,000,000. And of course, Amazon's Fitness Magazine is a publication of GPS Photography and Video. Joining me, IFBB Women's Physique Pro, Jess Falborn, as now the season has sort of subsided. All the big shows are winding down and the Olympia's coming up fast and furious. How are you doing?
It's bittersweet, man. I don't like being on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate being on the sidelines. But it was time. Like, I needed to call it. But I can't even bring myself to really watch shows. It's like rubbing salt in the wound. I really want to be on that stage. So it's okay.
But you'll be back. I mean, you know, at the point that you could have kept going and just blew yourself up, you know, and you got to know when you're ready and know your body and good on your coaches as well, because you got to be able to call it, because you don't want to risk any further injury
exactly.
Long term, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an easy decision, but it was the right one. So that's the right one is not always an easy decision at all, no matter what you do. So I was the one that went to Justin and was like, okay, I was like, give me till Monday. If my body responds, then we'll continue. But if it's not responding the way we want it to, because you want to get better from show to show. You don't want to show up the same, you know? And it wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. So I was like, okay, like, I think it's smart to call it. And he was like, I think it's smart as well. So
what was going on specifically? Can you talk about it?
Well, we weren't getting lean. Like we were getting lean, but not as lean as we needed to get. And like, the way I describe it, and that maybe I've described it or used this term with you before, but is like, everyone has different health genetics. And like, some people can get lean really easily. Some people can put on muscle really easily. I mean, everyone has different strengths, and usually it's outside of their control. You know, it's just your body is able to do. I'm very fortunate in that, and it's not that I don't lift heavy and work hard, but like, I could lift a 5-pound dumbbell and I'm going to grow muscle. Like it just happens. And I don't even eat that much. And I wish I could eat more, but I don't. But on the flip side, I just can't get, it's not as easy for me to get lean as it is for others. And I, like, after 7 months of dieting and pushing hard, and like, my body wasn't responding anymore. So there really weren't very many other like levers to pull or variables that we could utilize. And my body was pretty much just like, nope, we're not going to cooperate anymore. So really frustrating, honestly, because it wasn't, we felt like we had left no stone unturned. But the silver lining there is like, we learned a lot. And I have to keep reminding myself, like, I got into bodybuilding because I wanted to be able to teach others the discipline and the habits and what it takes to actually work towards something really difficult, like a difficult goal, be it, you know, changing your physique, competing in bodybuilding, or anything else, and be able to replicate those habits elsewhere. So I've successfully been able to do that. So that was my initial goal, and I can say I can achieve that. But I haven't achieved some of the other goals I have in the sport yet. So we'll see.
You know, I'm sure all in time it's going to work out. Going into now, and we're going to ask you that prime question I've been asking all week.
Yeah.
What are you looking to build as far as your physique? What do you think you're going to change?
Okay, so I will be very, very honest. I hate walking around this big in the off season. And I think, like, women in bodybuilding, like, everyone's always preaching, like, you know, you got to love yourself in the off season as much as in contest prep shape and everything. But I'll be honest, like, I'm 5'1", and like in the off season, I get up to like 165, 170. And and it's not because I eat like an elephant. Like I actually don't eat very much. It's just, I'm a meatball. Like I'm just a ball of muscle. So I don't like to walk around like that. And I don't need any more tissue on my physique. Like judges' feedback, my coach, like we agreed, there's no more tissue I need. But to improve my look for stage, we really just need to continue to work to create that illusion, because I don't have the smallest waist. I don't have a huge waist, but I'm short, so I don't have much room for a small waist. So we just have to work to get my back a little bit wider for stage, and just continue to carve out details. And then I really think that we're going to need to give my body enough time off where I'll be able to get lean, because we thought we took enough time off last time, and a 7-month prep didn't get me lean enough. And so the thinking now is, okay, maybe we need to really just put our foot on the brakes with like thinking about when I'm going to compete again, let my body rest, do its thing. And then whenever we feel like we're ready, go into a cut again and see what happens, because that's really the only thing that's holding me back. Like, again, based on judges' feedback, the feedback I got from Toronto, they were like, you just need to get leaner. But if you get leaner, your waist will get smaller, like everything else is going to pop. So it's not that I need more tissue. So the guest you had on the other night, Amanda, my girl, we love
the guest. Wait. The guest I had on the other night.
Yeah, Amanda.
Yeah, but it's the way you said it.
Oh, but I was going to say the guest that you had on the other night, Amanda. We train together all the time, and we love to lift heavy.
Yeah.
But we gain muscle so quickly, and we don't need to gain muscle. So for us, it's the fine balance of like enjoying life, enjoying the gym, enjoying training. But then if we want to truly change our physique or carve a physique that's best for stage, we can't necessarily all do all the stuff we love, which is heavy lifting, because Amanda needs to balance her physique out a little bit more. And for me, I just need to stay tight. So heavy lifting isn't the answer necessarily for that.
So you got to resist the temptation to powerlifting.
I know. But I will say this, like, I've got some powerlifting friends and they're like, why don't you do a meet this off season? I'm like, I would love to do a powerlifting meet. I would love to compete in CrossFit. Like, there's so much else I want to do, which is why I say I'm not like rushing back to stage, because there's so much else I want to do, and the stage is always going to be there. So you never know.
Are you struggling, would you say, with body dysmorphia? And it affects everybody differently, but
Yeah, it's really rough. Like, and that's another reason why I don't want to put more tissue on my frame, because I know for the sport it might make sense, but you're on stage for less than 10 minutes, right? I have to live in this body 24/7, 365. So if I can't be happy and comfortable and feel healthy walking around all the other days of the year, what does it matter what happens on stage, So that's definitely a tough part for me. And I know it's probably a tough part for a lot of competitors, a lot of women specifically. I don't know if people talk about it enough. We all just kind of say like, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. And we have to be comfortable in our off-season body. But like, why not talk about like, it's really tough to be comfortable with that, you spend so much time trying to come down in size for stage, and then it's just a switch all of a sudden, and that's no longer your goal. So your mind has to catch up with what your body's doing, and that's a tough adjustment.
So I guess overall, again, is your message would you give to other competitors, especially since you're a coach as well? How do you handle the stage blues? Not just the body dysmorphia, but the whole entirety of it. As you said, the season is now over, and how do you handle it? How do you cope with it?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's easy, and it's not like a one size fits all, but
Right.
what I try to do is remind myself of what my body can do, not what it looks like. And by that, I mean, like, I'm incredibly proud of how much muscle I have put on my physique. Like, that is not easy to
Oh,
do.
let's be clear. You look amazing. You look amazing.
Thank you.
But I'm a photographer, and I think everyone looks amazing. I'm not a
But
judge, but
I mean,
I'm good with that though.
yeah, I mean, it's easy for other people to say, because believe me, there's not one person that I see regularly at work or clients or friends that thinks, or at least has said to me, "Oh, what's going on, Jess? You don't look good."
Yeah.
Like, no one says that, and I
Right.
don't even think people think that. You know, it's all in my head with what I'm happy with. But why would I be unhappy? Because I'm comparing myself to something else, whether it's
Right.
someone else, my competition physique, my stage physique, like whatever it is, my physique before I started bodybuilding. So and that's, you know, everything is temporary. You're not always going to look the same. You're not always going to feel the same. But I go back and try to remind myself, and I tell my clients this as well: celebrate what your body can do and what it's been able to do. Like, it's remarkable that to get in stage shape, competition shape. Like, not everyone in the world can do that. 1% of the world maybe could do that, you know? So reminding yourself what you're capable of, both mentally and physically, is a good way to kind of step out of the, like, woe is me mentality. And there's a couple, I read a lot of like self-help books for myself, but also because I want to be able to coach others in a really effective way. And I'm reading a book right now called, I think it's The Power of Letting Go, but it talks about how there's like this false self. It's like the bitch voice, right? It's the voice in your head that's like tearing you down, saying you can't do it, like the debilitating fear. And so I really, again, like to remind myself of, like, things are temporary. Think about everything you've overcome, everything you've been able to do. When I'm in the gym, like, think about how much I can leg press. No one's looking at like the skin folds and rolls when I'm leg pressing. They're like, holy shit, she's leg pressing 9 plates per second. What the hell is this, right? So there's that. And then also, like I said, like, the stage is only one part of who I am. Competing is only one part of who I am. So, like, reminding myself of other things that make me happy, and like throwing myself into like other goals and other pursuits. I mean, I coach CrossFit, and there's so much that I want to do with the CrossFit program that I've helped build here at our gym. And finally, I have the time and the energy to do that. I'm you know, building out an ambassador program, and we're organizing local competitions, and I'm helping other athletes. And I have the time to do it. Before, I didn't have the time or energy to do it, you know? So
because you're getting ready for yourself.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, I think, like, I've always been a competitor. I've always been an athlete. I competed in other sports before. I won't bodybuild forever, so there might be other sports I want to pursue. Like I mentioned, like maybe a powerlifting meet would be fun. Maybe some CrossFit competitions would be fun. The stage is always going to be there for me. So for me, it's been, and I say this to my clients as well, and you know, find other things that you're passionate about. Find things that you enjoyed before bodybuilding that you had to put on the back burner. Don't let bodybuilding rob you of all those other things. Not to demonize bodybuilding, but like, don't let it rob you of those other things that you enjoy, because it's only one part of who you are. So that's what I think, and that's kind of how I would, the advice that I would give to other competitors and even clients.
That's great. And of course, you got to take a lot of photos. So there you go.
I mean, it's, you know what? It's tough when you don't feel your best. Like, you don't want to be in front of the camera. So it's,
I can understand.
But I will say, like, then sometimes you force yourself out of your comfort zone and you do it, and you're really grateful, you know, because again, what I see in the mirror is very different than what other people see. I have people come up to me now and they're like, holy crap, you look amazing. I'm like, what? Like,
you do.
Thank you. But like, you don't feel that. And when you don't feel it, you don't believe it. So when someone says it to you that like has seen you in person for a show, seeing you in person getting ready for a show, now they see you in person up, 20 pounds or whatever it is. They're like, and they still think you look great. You're like, you must be lying to me. Like, who paid you to say that?
Yeah.
But
And while we're on the subject, I wanted to ask you,
mm-hmm.
the CrossFit competitor that was recently in a competition and he drowned.
So sad.
What are some of the sort of the liabilities as a CrossFit coach? Everybody's now doing Monday morning quarterback about what could have, should have, would have happened if everybody been doing their job. But talk to me a little bit about that. You being a CrossFit uh, coach and
Yeah.
preparing people for a CrossFit competition.
So I'll say this, like the CrossFit games and the CrossFit that people like practice and the classes they take every day are two very different sports.
Okay.
The CrossFit games is for the most elite of the elite, and they have events there that like we could never even replicate in our CrossFit box, let alone most CrossFit boxes couldn't.
Right.
So I'll put that out there first. The second part is, I mean, CrossFit, the organization, takes all the necessary precautions and makes sure that everything is as safe as can possibly be. And I don't, I wasn't there. I'm not fully briefed
Right.
on like what went on. But it was obviously like a lapse in safety protocol, and it was a really, really sad thing that happened. But when I think about that from like a coaching perspective, so I've worked at two different CrossFit boxes now. So the one I'm at now, I helped start the program. And so I've been able to help build it from the ground up, give input on what we need, how many coaches we need to have per class, how many athletes we allow per class. Before we were following the programming we're following now, I was writing the programming. So safety is always my number one concern in CrossFit, especially when you have varying levels of experience in a class, which is 9 times out of 10 the case.
Right.
We're not going to have a room full of like elite, advanced CrossFit athletes. More often than not, you have people that are taking CrossFit as a catalyst to be healthier and get involved in fitness. So it is my job and duty as a coach and someone who's teaching people to have my head on a constant swivel and make sure that no one is doing something that is going to get them injured. So anyone who takes my class knows I'm a huge stickler for form. If I see the form is not there, I tell people this from the beginning of class. What I say goes. There is no negotiating. If I tell you to take the weight off of the barbell, or if I tell you you're going to use dumbbells instead of a barbell, there's no negotiating. The answer is yes, coach. And it's not because I'm trying to be a dictator and I don't want you to have fun. I don't want you to work out. It's because I want you to make it out of this class alive and be safe.
Right.
Because there's on the flip side, when the CrossFit box I worked at when I lived in Washington, D.C., it was a very elite CrossFit box. We had a team that went to the CrossFit Games every year. We had individual athletes that went to the CrossFit Games. So like they don't, what are they going to get from me? They don't need my coaching, but we would have classes full of, there would be 35 people in a class, and they're throwing around barbells, dumbbells, wall ball, kettlebells. I'm 5'1". I would have to stand up on boxes just to have my head on a swivel and watch everyone. Right. But in that scenario, I wouldn't coach a class that size unless I had an assistant coach, because you just need that many eyes. Like I like to have like one coach per every like maybe 15 athletes. Like I wouldn't go past that ratio. But at the end of the day, like safety is my number one concern in class, because I don't want people to get hurt, but also CrossFit doesn't have the best reputation, especially with people who aren't familiar with the sport. They think CrossFit, they think injury. So we want to make sure that we do a good job of dispelling that stereotype and let people kind of enjoy the sport. So. Uh-oh, Glenn, are you frozen? Oh, Glenn's gone. Sorry, guys. Well, I don't know if anyone's tuned in. Hopefully he comes back soon. But if you're tuned in, you can drop some questions here. Let's see what people have to say.
All right. Can you hear me now?
You're back.
All right. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I was having a show by myself. It's okay.
There you go. I was almost like, well, maybe should I disconnect and write a reboot? But okay, we're good to go now.
Okay.
Yeah, just to close out on CrossFit and everything you were saying as far as a coach and safety is always paramount. A lot of people are involved in the sport, and it's very popular.
Yeah, it is. And it's great. Like I said, it's a catalyst for fitness for a lot of people. And I really want to keep it that way. Like I love when I have someone who is new to fitness and wants to get healthy and they sign up for CrossFit, but they're a little bit nervous. I'm like, this is perfect. Like this is exactly where you need to be, because especially our program now, because there's so many people that are new, right? You don't it's not as intimidating because you don't have these elite level athletes that you're taking class with. While it can be inspiring, I understand how it could be incredibly intimidating. So it's been really fun building this program from the ground up. Now we have this ambassador program. So we've selected 6 athletes in the program to help us with like a grassroots movement of like going out into the community and explaining what our program is about and how we're welcoming new members. So I'm really passionate about like making fitness accessible to anyone and everyone. And CrossFit is a really great way for me to do that.
But it would seem CrossFit shouldn't be a gateway into fitness. Would you say? I mean,
shouldn't
they have to be at a level of fitness before they say, "Oh, I'm gonna go do CrossFit."
Well, yeah, you would think so, but not necessarily. So CrossFit is infinitely scalable. So let's say the workout is 5 rounds for time, barbell back squats at 135, Russian kettlebell swings at 53 pounds, and 50 wall balls at 14 pounds with a med ball and a 6-foot height, whatever. I'm just making stuff up. Right. Now, I have a lot of athletes that wouldn't be able to do the workout as written, but we scale every workout. So there's RX or as prescribed, and then you can scale everything. So you can scale the weight, you can scale the reps, and you can scale the movement. So if someone comes to me and they're like, Jess, I can't squat because I had knee surgery a couple months ago. And so I'm not able to squat. I'm like, great. Okay. So let's figure out what you can do so you still get the same stimulus in the workout. And that's the beauty of CrossFit. Whereas like, and you're in a class, right? And I'm not to knock another sport, but like I'll compare it to bodybuilding because I compete there. Right. If someone can't squat, you got a problem because there's a lot of ways to build your legs, but like you got to be able to squat. If you don't develop your physique, you're going to be lacking when you get on stage versus a performance sport like CrossFit. You can scale things to still get the same stimulus because it's not about what you look like. It's about performing. So anyone could walk into a CrossFit class. I will say like general body awareness is helpful. I've had people walk in that just have like no body awareness. And I'm like, squat down like you're going to sit down on the couch or the toilet. Right. And they're like, what? And I'm like, do you not sit down on the toilet? Like, how does this, what's going on?
Yeah.
So like body awareness is helpful, but we have people that are new. We have people that are older. My favorite is when someone who's much, much older comes in for the first time, and I'm like, this is amazing that you feel this strongly about your health and fitness, that you are in your 60s and you decided you wanted to take up CrossFit. Like, let's go. I am all too happy to coach you in my class.
That's great.
Yeah.
Women's Physique has had quite a year. The Texas Pro last with $15,000. And again, prize money's been, talked about all year and all season. But I guess you just got to try to find the happy medium spot. Women's Physique, needs more shows. They have more than women's bodybuilding, but they don't have as many as the other divisions, or the three muscle divisions, figure, women's physique, and women's bodybuilding. So I'm anxious to see how it progresses going into next year. But give me your thoughts on the season in women's physique as to where it's going and how it's looking.
I mean, you're right. It gets more and more exciting as we go on. It's just, I think it's the nature of the sport that the early shows are just smaller, and the ones that are later in the season and end up being bigger. But I mean, it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, you get these show promoters at these smaller shows that are like, well, if we don't get more numbers, we're going to pull this division from this show, or like, why aren't we getting more numbers? And they're just like posting stuff on Instagram. Like, maybe we should have some of these like ambassadors or bigger names in the sport working on some of these earlier shows, right? Like the Triple O is a great example. Like this was the inaugural year, but I do see that being a really successful and big show moving forward, because to be able to, what I heard about the show was that it was a phenomenal experience. And I think it's because it's run by athletes, right? So the athletes know what
female athletes promoting their own show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that if we continue to see that trend, you might see more and more shows pop up. You might see more and more athletes compete in the earlier shows if they are more athlete centric. What I noticed in my experience this year in the pro league competing is that some shows are just so much more athlete centric and enjoyable than other shows. Some shows are just like, you're lucky to compete here. Like, and you don't really get that feeling of feeling special and like all your hard work is culminated on that day, versus other show promoters and people that are working these shows, they make you feel really special and it's appreciated. So I think it's really great to see, like Chicago had a huge women's physique lineup. Tampa did, Texas. Like, it's so great to see this. The lineups are so deep. I just wish that, I hope rather, that we can find a way to have that turn out earlier in the year.
Right.
And I think it comes from the athletes, not from the promoters who aren't currently competing or have never competed or haven't competed in decades, Yeah.
It was the prestige of the show. I mean, Tim Gardner, Linda Murray, and because the prize money was, relatively the same.
Yeah.
So then you have to look, well, maybe it's just how the show's put on in the promoter. Texas being the outlier, 15K, well, that's easy to promote. But when you look at the Chicago Pro, Tampa Pro, Atlanta, with Linda Murray, maybe it's the person and it's the prestige. And so you just got to get that going on. You got to, every, I guess, promoter has to build their own reputation, because really, sooner or later you have to look in the mirror. Is it me or is it you? So
I mean, look at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh as well.
Who, like, last year you had the top 3 were all Olympians.
Yep.
This year you had 3 women on stage total.
And to give you another example, and I think this leads me to my next point, you got to build it and recruit it at the amateur level.
Yeah.
So when I went to the Jay Cutler Classic last weekend in Richmond, there was one women's physique. One. Same thing with the Charlotte Pro.
Yeah.
And so I guess I would ask you, how do you recruit a women's physique division? Because you got to build it at the amateur level. Everybody's going to come to the pro show. Everybody's going to come and see the Olympian women's physique competitors and all the pro women's physique competitors. No issue there. But how do you recruit the amateurs when there's only 1 and 2 amateurs showing up at the NPC shows?
I know. That's tough. I mean, the way I think about it is like, it's not like when I started in figure, and my coaches were like, do women's physique. And I was like, no, I want to be cute and in heels like that. I didn't know anything about the sport. And that was my idea of the sport, was like, no, I want to wear heels. I want to be in the cute division, blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't understand women's physique. And then when I started to understand it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Like, this is where my physique belongs. So perhaps it needs to be more education, like teaching women about the different divisions that are available to them, teaching them how to select a division that is right for their physique, as opposed to, I want to do bikini, right? Like, well, maybe your physique isn't meant for bikini. Maybe your physique isn't meant for figure.
It's a hard fact.
Yeah. Like, there's no, I could starve for 2 years and never fit into bikini. Like, it's just never going to happen. But I'm okay with it. And I wish that women knew that when they were starting out. So perhaps it's more education. Perhaps it's, at some of these local regional shows, not only like the show, but maybe in between prejudging and finals, there's like a seminar or a Q&A with current athletes, like current pros, or women that are on the precipice of turning pro, and talking about the different divisions and how to figure out the division that's right for you, and why women's physique is such a great division to compete in. I think there's a big education piece that's lacking. And then because there just aren't very many, like you said, very many at that local level. It takes a long time to put that muscle on as well. So you're not going to see as many women's physique competitors as you are bikini competitors, because again, no knock on bikini, but that's not a muscle division. So it's not that difficult. The barrier to entry is very low for bikini compared to women's physique or women's bodybuilding. So, I think it's an education piece of like, it takes time, right? But when it's your time, these are the divisions you should choose between based on your physique, based on where you belong. So, I think education is a big piece that a lot of like promoters maybe don't look into, because does it get them any money? Like, probably not, but maybe in the long run it will get them money if that means that they have more athletes entering their shows. So,
and it becomes a thing of, well, there's women's physique or women's bodybuilding is not at the show because there aren't any. So you got to grow it, recruit it some way. And then it goes on another level of, okay, we're not giving a pro card because we only had 2 show up.
That breaks my heart.
Which can be tough because you busted your ass for 16, 20, 25 weeks.
You
get to the show, you won the show, no pro card because there's only 2 of you, or there's only 3 of you.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, it does. And you can say, well, no pro card, or you can't really say you won number 1 because there were only 3 in the show, 3 people in the show. I get it, but don't you judge what shows up, but don't dismiss my work ethic of that 20 plus weeks that I busted my ass to get here. So it's tough because I don't know what the right answer is, but they gotta come from somewhere.
I can see both sides, I can see why we don't want to just hand out pro cards, right? If there's no competition, who's to say you would have earned your pro card if there was a lineup of 10? Right?
Exactly.
But you can't control that. And we're not here to give out participation trophies. So just because you busted your ass for 25 weeks, it doesn't mean you earned it.
True.
But it's not fair if you can't compete, because you did everything in your power to show up to compete. So it's tough, but
the only fix in that case is, you probably should go do a later show where a later pro-am, where there is going to be, competitors show up in your division. But then everybody's like scared of that competition too. So I guess that's another subject you could look into as well.
But,
all right, I'm gonna let you out of here on this one.
Okay.
You know the question. You had all week to study. So as now the season has ended for you in 2024.
Yeah.
Are you going into A, off season, B, improvement season, or C, prove it season?
I'm gonna say C, prove it season.
Okay.
But it's probably not for the reason that you think, or most people would think.
Okay.
I'll elaborate a little bit. I am going to prove to myself that I'm more than just a professional bodybuilder. I'm going to prove to myself and others that, like, even if I don't achieve the goal I set out to achieve, it doesn't mean it's going to stop me from working hard and achieving other goals. And it doesn't mean I'm not ever going to achieve that goal. It just means progress is not linear, and I'm going to continue to show up every day and prove to people that I am a hard worker, and I'm going to achieve whatever I set my mind to. It's just a matter of when, not if. So it's a prove it season for me.
Jess Falborn, thank you for being so candid all the time.
Of course.
You're very genuine, and that's why I like you so much. You don't pull any punches, and you just tell it like it is. So
it's a blessing and a curse, I guess.
It is. And you can't neglect the point that that you were a lobbyist. So
yes,
and you're a hell of a writer. How do I know this? Because I just feel it and believe it. So I can't wait to see what you write for Amazon's fitness magazine.
Yes, I'm so excited.
And of course, you being so charismatic and in front of the camera, from the standpoint of being a news correspondent, talking to all the ladies backstage and NPC News Online and stuff like that. And that part really impressed me because I'm like, okay, she is really, there's more there.
Thank you.
Very, very genuine and knows the sport, and come off as very intelligent. The athletes seem very at ease when they talk to you on the mic, and that's, you can't just get that from anywhere. So yeah.
Hey, if you're not going to be at the Olympia, right?
Not looking good.
Okay.
But most from the standpoint of not being able to get off because I'm a teacher, and it's like, got off last year, and they came back. They were looking at me, so. Yeah. It is what it is, but it's tough. Then of course everything's sold out and stuff too.
I know. Well, we're going, and
you and Amanda.
We are. Right? Yep. And anyone who's watching that wants to say hi, I will be. So I'm with Revive and Raw as I'm a Camp Jansen coach. I'm a Revive and Raw athlete. I'll be at the Raw booth on Friday and Saturday from 1 to 5.
Nice.
PM. So people can come say hi and chat, and we can, shoot the shit about bodybuilding, CrossFit, powerlifting, whatever y'all want.
And the thing about it, see, you guys are being flown in, man, red carpet, I got to find somebody to sponsor me like that.
Hey, I'm not going to say that they're flying me in, but I'm going to be there with Raw and representing them in Camp Jansen, and I couldn't be more.
Well, they're taking care of lodging or something, right?
I mean, listen, I've always wanted to work a booth, and Raw has a huge booth there. So
that's amazing. And it's the Olympia.
Yeah.
So that's a hell of an opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful for that. And we'll see how the weekend unfolds, but I couldn't be more excited for that. And our good friend Sean competing, like it's gonna be a really
Sean Clarita. I mean, I was telling Amanda, you throw up a YouTube video and you're in the gym working out with Sean Clarita. I'm like, everybody like, what? Who's this? Yeah. So that's easy marketing because you got to connect, and at the same time, got to be a hell of a lot of information that he's giving you guys. I mean, just a wealth of energy, of education, because you're in the gym with him. So you get stuff that not everybody else is getting.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, he's one of the last people I talk to before I go on stage, and like he's just so much experience, right? So just like talking to him, I remember before I stepped on stage at New York, like at the check-in meeting or the check-ins, I was waiting in line, and there's a couple pictures of him talking to me, and we were talking about, I was like, listen, I'm going to be the shortest girl on stage there. I know I have the most muscle, but like, if I'm on the outside, and he was like, listen, this is I'm the giant killer. Like, I'm always the shortest
Yeah.
guy on stage.
Yeah,
He's like, let's talk about
exactly.
this. So he's giving me tips and tricks, and he's like, this is how you do this, and if this happens, I want you to do this, and because that was my, it was my pro debut. So
Right.
Sean's actually
Yeah.
here in New Jersey right now because our good friend
Mhm.
Ivan, who was Sean's training partner from New Jersey, is
Mhm.
competing on Saturday. So we get to spend the weekend with Sean. So we're pretty
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So
And I mean, that's an experience not every athlete has. I mean, to have a your ear at your pro debut, that's huge.
yeah,
So
we're
that's
very
huge.
we're lucky. We got good people
Yeah.
around us.
So maybe though, and it's a while out there. You think you'll be going to the Arnold's? Because I'm probably gonna go to that to see
That's
that
right.
weekend.
Yeah. I probably will. I mean, I don't see
Yeah.
why not. If I can, the
Check
reason
out the fitness category. Yeah.
what's that?
Check out the fitness category.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, the reason I didn't this past year was because I was in prep and I didn't really want to travel. But
Right.
I mean, I don't know what next year is going to bring, but I would like to go, so I'll probably plan to go because we're going to have to connect in person at some point, Glenn.
Yeah, we are. We just
It's going to have to happen.
Two ships passing in the night.
I know, seriously. It's going to happen. Don't worry.
I know it. I have every faith. Hey, thanks for talking to me, Jess. Take care.
Thanks, Glenn. I'll see you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Jess Falborn, always big fun to talk to. She's a wealth of energy and education as far as women's bodybuilding and everything that she's done in her past. As a lobbyist, that's, it just comes across and it really shows. So she's got a lot going on and great head on her shoulders. And I've enjoyed talking with her and I've enjoyed watching her season this year. So coming up on Saturday, you don't want to miss it. 8-time fitness Miss Olympia. She's a female promoter. Do you know who it is? But I'll be promoting that between the night and, of course, tomorrow I'll talk with her again a little bit today. So make sure you tune in at noon on Saturday when I'll talk to her, talking everything, the fitness category and where fitness is. So do your research and do your homework, and you'll know who it is. So I will talk to you guys on Saturday. Until then, always thank you for all the subscribers, those that like, share, and subscribe to the website, Amazon's Fitness Mag, Amazon'sFitMag.com, and of course the YouTube channel. So do your research, see if you can message me and tell me who that is. It's going to be on Saturday. I think I've already posted it. It's already on the YouTube. If you follow me, you would already know. But any event, I'll see you at noon on Saturday. Take care.